cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. For any of you that knows anything about hip-hop, you probably heard of Camron, a.k.a. Killer Cam, a.k.a. the boss of what used to be Dipset. Dipset. Ow. I get computers computing. Boopity booping, right? All right, anyway. Cam and other rap legend Mase have a debate show on YouTube called It Is What It Is. It's actually quite good. And it's on the up and up. It's definitely coming up. I recommend you checking it out. But they had Stephen A. Smith as a guest on their show here recently. And it sounds like one of the topics were Tatum versus Bird. Now, I haven't watched this segment, but I found the part where they started talking about Tatum and Bird. So I'm going to play it from there and then give my opinion on what was said, because I have a feeling, I have a feeling what Stephen A. going to say. And I feel like I'm not going to like it. But anyway, let's get into it.
And that's okay.
Right.
But that's why they keep losing, because they're doing the thing you believe.
Well, how they keep losing? They were in the Eastern Conference Finals the
because
last 2
they
years in the
keep
NBA
going
Finals
through
last year.
Tatum, and Tatum is soft-hearted. He's very skilled. But when it comes down to
in Game 7s, averaging 28 and 8.
Yes.
Really?
Talent and heart is two different things.
Okay.
We're watching that with Miami.
Jayson Tatum is not soft, and he's not devoid
soft-hearted.
of heart.
He's soft-hearted.
He's not devoid of heart.
Listen, you know what's funny? So the thing that's funny is that me and Kevin Durant was talking. So I'm talking to Kevin Durant, and he's like, Boston is the most complete team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is first, second round. Mm-hmm. And I say it's something about Boston that when it's time,
exactly,
it's just that I don't trust them. And he's like, Cam, you don't know what you're talking about. They're the most complete. I said, I think they are. But when it's time, I don't know what it is. You got Jayson Tatum, who breaks Larry Bird's records and this, that, and the third, and he just beat more 50 games. Well, who would you rather have, Larry Bird or Jayson Tatum?
Well, the answer to that was the
Larry
same
Bird.
thing that people used to ask me about LeBron James or Larry Bird. I used to be like this: LeBron James for the first 46 minutes, give me Bird for the last 2.
So you're saying
and that got to do with heart. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
But shooting ability too.
You're saying that you have Jayson Tatum for the first 46. I know you said LeBron, but you're using that same equation with Jayson Tatum for the first 46 minutes for Larry Bird.
No, Will Crowd question. Larry Bird was clutch. Larry Bird was clutch.
But I'm talking about you don't want him for the whole game.
No. I'm saying for me, not Larry Bird for the whole game. No.
Oh, come on.
That's what he's saying.
You're basically saying you take Tatum over Larry Bird.
For the first 46 minutes,
Oh, no, come
okay,
on.
let me ask you a question.
Wait, we'll have to.
Wait. No.
We'll have to get into that another day. We'll have to get into it another day.
Listen.
Come on now.
What do you think?
We'll go all day.
What do you think happens in the last couple of minutes? What does that have to do with
pressure mounts?
Pressure have to do with heart.
Pressure mounts. I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is Jayson Tatum has had moments where he's shown up under those lights.
Not at the biggest light.
And other times he hasn't. But Game 7 is a Game 7, bro. And you go to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, you go get Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Semifinals, and you drop 51. You do that last year in the postseason, you drop 46 in the closeout Game 6, you down 3-2, you go on the road to Milwaukee, and you drop 46 against Giannis. That stuff matters. What I'm saying to you, however, is that if you show up sometimes and you don't show up other times, you just don't have it. It's not a matter of heart. It's a matter of heart when you don't show up at all. Now, I don't like saying this, but a James Harden would be an example. Like, you've had ample opportunities to show up with a closeout game on the line. You're about to get sent home, and you show up and he hasn't. Repeatedly. That's not Jayson Tatum. In, out, in, out, in, out. So it's not a matter of heart because you show up sometimes and other times you haven't.
Oh, it's
you just
inconsistent.
It's just inconsistency.
I'm going with Larry Bird. I don't care what about you. Just Larry Bird get them championships. Yeah. Larry Bird to say, look, I'm better than you. I'm gonna play you.
Larry Bird was
with my left hand
sensational
tonight.
Yeah. Larry Bird was sensational, but I do think that at times he was a defensive liability. And so what I'm saying to you is that I know what he can do, but physically he would elevate himself in pressure moments. He couldn't sustain it physically over the course of 48 minutes.
So you're basically saying I know the best ability is availability, but we're just using that prime time healthy Larry Bird.
Then I would pick Larry Bird over Jayson Tatum. That's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm looking at it over the course of a game and what you physically can and can't do. And then in certain situations, you're looking at Hart. James Harden has earned the reputation for people to question. I don't call him a choke artist and stuff like that, but there are other people who have. He's kind of earned that scrutiny.
I gotta rewind because I gotta let me hold on a second.
Larry Bird.
Then I would pick Larry Bird over Jayson Tatum. He would elevate himself in pressure moments. He couldn't sustain it physically over the course of 48 minutes.
So you're basically
tonight. Larry Bird was sensational, but I do think that at times he was a defensive liability. And so what I'm saying to you is that I know what he can do, but physically he would elevate himself in pressure moments. He couldn't sustain it physically over the course of 48 minutes.
So you're basically saying I know the best ability is availability, but we're just using that prime time healthy Larry Bird.
Then I would pick Larry Bird over Jayson Tatum. That's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm looking at it over the course of a game and what you physically can and can't do. And then in certain situations, you're looking at Hart. James Harden has earned the reputation for people to question. I don't call him a choke artist and stuff like that, but there are other people who have. He's kind of earned that scrutiny because every time you're waiting for him to show up in those pressure moments, he hasn't.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And that's the problem.
Okay, there's a lot. I should have wrote things down that I wanted to say. There's some things to unpack here. First of all, this is one of my problems with Stephen A. Smith that he does sometimes. When they ask him these questions about who would you rather have, he instead of just answering it directly, he says things like this: no, I'll take this guy here, but then I'll take this guy here. Or, actually, I think this is the best player, but I think this guy's the better two-way player. He does it a lot, like too much for me. Like sometimes I get it because he try to add context to things, but he does it too much. It's just like just answer the question. He does this now. I'm not saying that he hasn't said this about Larry Bird. He said when people used to say Larry Bird versus LeBron James, he used to say I'd take LeBron the first whatever minutes and I'd take Larry Bird in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. That hasn't been said much by Stephen A. publicly. So his memory's a little off. This is what he used to say when they were talking about Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James. That is what he used to say about Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. I'll take LeBron for the first 40-something minutes, and then I want Kobe all the way. Just answer the question. Just answer the question. Kills me with all this tiptoeing sometimes, bro. Next. First of all, Stephen A's just wrong. Stephen A's just... Shout out to Killer Cam and shout out for Mase. Mase shares the very same opinion about Jayson Tatum. And I like Tatum, but I admit, man, the dude's been looking... When he hasn't showed up, it's been pretty bad, man. It's been pretty bad. It's like almost a completely different player at times. But... my brother has the very same opinion about Jayson Tatum. He's telling me about Jayson Tatum even before the Miami Heat series. He was talking mad-ish about Tatum, like he ain't who everybody think he is, and that. I'm just like, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, the first time he made it to the finals, he flamed out. I mean, Tatum's pretty solid. And then my boy Jayson Tatum, his favorite player, he wasn't having it. And then as Jayson Tatum is out here stinking it up in the playoffs, oh, my brother was loving it. He's like, I told y'all. Then he sent me a text. He said, tell your boy they need to trade him while the league's still fooled, because once word get out, he ain't like that. It's up. The gig is up. Oh man. And then sure enough, the Game 7 happened eventually, and more or less an abysmal performance by the Celtics team as a whole. But, listen, man, Tatum has really struggled at times. And, Stephen A. brings up a point. It's not as bad as Harden, But it's been looking pretty bad for Tatum. And yeah, he's inconsistent. But the other thing is, even through inconsistency, shooting the basketball, still show me that you're being aggressive. Still show me how you can really impact the game in other ways. Not just defensively. Because honestly, Tatum's defense through these playoffs wasn't the best of Jayson Tatum, if I'm going to be honest with you. But even outside of defense, how can you impact the game in other ways? Defensively good, but like I said, he really wasn't showing up defensively. And that's where Tatum definitely loses the argument. Just right there alone, that's just one area where he loses the argument. I'm with Mase. I'm with Mase. I'm really questioning Jayson Tatum's heart. Because it's one thing to have your jumper not shooting, but if I can watch the game and you look unaggressive and you look like you don't want it, and aside from your shooting, you're not even executing anything else as appropriate, or you're not executing in other facets of the game, is probably what I should have said. These are other things I'm looking at. And I'm going to have to go with Mase. And I'm with Killa. I'm with Camron. After Stephen A. Smith said that about Jayson Tatum and Bird, I know Cam was like, oh, this dude tripping. And Cam even acknowledged, oh, yeah, I get it. He's breaking all these scoring records, But what does that really mean? No, seriously, what does that really mean? I am not as impressed with scoring in today's NBA. I'm not. I'm not a hater on today's league. I'm just looking at the league for what it is compared to the league in eras of past. And right now, in this league, it has never been easier to score. There has been other eras of basketball where the tempo was up and the scoring was up. But I assure you, it wasn't as easy because the spacing wasn't what it was today. And the beauty of the game is gone. They're just hoisting up threes. Most teams. Hoisting up threes. Get more possessions. Layups, threes. It's like a pull string dog, man. It's the same story. Same thing. You know what's going to happen. You know what they're going to say. Right? I can tell you the story. I can tell you, before I watch an NBA game, I can break it down, most of it for you, before I even watch it. And you'll call me a soothsayer. How did you know that the tempo was going to be like that? How did you know they're going to hoist up all these threes? How did you know? I was like, oh, well, every team plays the same way. Anyway, I'm getting, that's beside the point. I'm getting sidetracked. So that's why I'm not as impressed by scoring numbers now. Like, the numbers are super inflated in today's league as compared to other eras. 50 points by somebody in the 90s or the early to mid 2000s isn't the same as 50 points in today's league. It's just not. So that's what I don't really care about him breaking all the scoring records. Broke Bird has more 50-point games than Bird. This in the playoffs, this in the regular season. It's like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean shit. He doesn't touch Larry Bird. And that's where it comes down to understanding basketball, past numbers, past analytics, and past records, so you can look at these things and understand them for what they are in their era, and add context when you think about these things. But that's why I'm not. And Cam, I'm glad Cam said that. He didn't say exactly what I said, but I knew what he meant when he's basically bringing that up. Like, I get he's doing all this, but he still ain't better than Bird. You kidding me? Stephen A. Smith, you watch Larry Bird play, buddy. Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? Seriously. Talking about you'll take Jayson Tatum over the entirety of. I'm glad Camron said that too. He's like, I get what you're saying in the clutch. We all know Bird is one of the most clutch players ever, but you're still telling me you take Jayson Tatum in the first 48 minutes of the game or whatever you said, first 46, first 45, whatever, you smoking crack. What you got in your pipe, Stephen A. Smith? Are you nuts? Seriously, are you nuts? And then saying that Larry Bird was a defensive liability. That is where I'm going to stop you. I understand Larry Bird wasn't necessarily the quickest, right? Or as far as foot speed or the fastest as compared to other athletes. But what does all that do? Like today we have all these athletes, right? Hyper athletic, fast, strong, and they all most of them lack defensive fundamentals, lack the tenacity on defense, the will to want to defend. So what does all that mean, having all that? As opposed to Larry Bird, who might not jump or run as fast as some of these guys back in his era or in this era. But he's a smarter defender, understands how to be a good team defender. I'll say and be the first one to tell you, Larry Bird wasn't the best isolation defender, but Larry Bird was never a defensive liability. I didn't even watch. I wasn't around to watch Larry Bird play, but I know that the guy wasn't a liability. You know who is a liability on defense, at least for the majority of their career? Steph Curry. He's somebody that's a liability on the defensive end. I mean, what are we talking about? Steve Nash was a liability on the defensive end. What are we talking about here? Larry Bird was not a liability. He was an extremely smart, savvy defensive player, great team defense and understanding defensive fundamentals within the confines of the team. And at times he was, in moments, a very good isolation defender at times, but never was a liability. I'm calling you out on your bullshit, Stephen A. Smith. You're wrong. Sorry, buddy. You smoking some good. I don't know what Mase and Cam was puffing on and what they gave you, what it was laced with. They might have gave you something laced with something else. But, brother, I'm sorry. I can't go there with you. And over the course of a game, I'm still taking Larry Bird over the course of the game. He is just a flat-out, all-around better basketball player than Jayson Tatum. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if you want to make the argument, and it could be a valid argument, that overall Tatum's a better defender than Larry Bird, that's still debatable in my opinion, especially what I've been seeing from Tatum lately. But even if I give Jayson Tatum the nod on the defensive end, and he still has a lot more basketball to play, and that could go either way. But even with that being said, he is still not a better basketball player than Larry Bird, because Larry Bird does every other thing better, even if I gave Jayson Tatum the absolute nod on defense. Bird does everything else better. What are we talking about, bro? And I know Larry Bird, unlike Jayson Tatum, if Larry Bird's jump shot isn't going or he's struggling, I know Larry Bird can impact the game in a million more ways than Jayson Tatum can. Larry Bird's basketball IQ is a million times better than Jayson Tatum. Rebounding, a million times better than Jayson Tatum. Passing, court vision, dexterity, a million times better than Jayson Tatum. Understanding the game, seeing plays before they happen, playing chess instead of checkers, a million times better than Jayson Tatum. What are we talking about, bro? Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? They're on two different stratospheres, and then they rolled into the Larry Bird. I guess he mentioned somewhat about availability, and I'll take Larry Bird in his prime and healthy, or something along those lines. Oh, excuse me, when was Larry Bird really ever 100% healthy? And you look at what Larry Bird was able to do on his career. And the injuries really only got worse and worse and worse and worse. But he came in the league busted. Dog, what are you talking about? When was Larry Bird ever healthy? And still was a better player than Jayson Tatum. Healthy. Come on, man. You kidding me? You kidding me? Stephen A. said he was looking at it over the course of the game and physically seeing what you can and can't do. I don't want to hear that nonsense, man. Larry Bird was practically never 100%. And he was still out there balling, face planting on the floor, back messed up, double Achilles messed up, finger, whatever, all kinds of injuries. He was still making himself available on the courts. Don't play that game, bro. Don't do that. It's revisionist history, man. And I call, y'all know. Excuse me. I might be repeating myself, so forgive me. But towards the end of that video, Stephen A. was basically like, oh, Bird could elevate himself in high leverage moments, but over the course of a game, over the course of 48 minutes, Bird couldn't sustain it physically, and that's what I'm trying to say. And then Camron was like, no, so, I'm just talking a prime, healthy Larry Bird. And Stephen A. was like, oh, yeah, well, prime, healthy Larry Bird. Yeah, of course. It's like, no, you are not getting away. Cam, do not let him off the hook like that. You're letting him off the hook. You are. I don't want to hear that. Saying that Larry Bird couldn't sustain it physically throughout the duration of a game for 4 quarters. Larry Bird is the literal definition of sustaining physical punishment and still playing. What are you talking about, Cam? You let him off the hook with that. You did. You let him off the hook with that. Larry Bird is the embodiment of playing through damn near anything and sustaining it and embracing it and rising above it throughout the game. This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit, Stephen A. Cam let you off the hook with that. He did. Because I wouldn't have let you off the hook right there. I would have kept pounding it in you. Because, Stephen A., you're really good at backpedaling and weaseling your way out of situations and people not keeping your feet to the fire. That's some bullshit. That's cap. That's cap, sir. That's cap, Stephen A. Cap. Disrespect cap. You watch Larry Bird play, man. You really did. Come on, man. You got to be better than this. Y'all know I call these bronzexuals out and all the people on mainstream media with their revisionist history when it comes to LeBron James, or their revisionist history when it comes to trying to diminish Kobe Bryant's career, making up stories. Stephen A. Smith, you're doing it right now. Larry Bird, on the tail end of his career, smashes his face on the ground. All broken and messed up. Man, player wouldn't have been back on the court for months in today's NBA. Let alone coming back in the game, busting people's ass, going in the locker room, probably just drank a beer. I forgot what actually happened. I did watch a video on it. I just forgot exactly what happened when he was back in the locker room. But he practically came out and finished the game and was a driving force and lit it up. And a difference maker and securing that victory. I don't even know how the guy played, how he face planted on the floor. You kidding me? Don't disrespect this man like that. And when you want to talk about overall career availability, Bird really didn't start breaking down to the tail end of his career. And you know what? He was still playing at an all-star level. From his rookie year, these are the amount of games he played. 82, 82, 77, 79, 79, 80, 82, 74, 76. It wasn't until the 1988 season did he miss the majority of the season where he played 6 games. And then he came back and played 75 games. And then finished with a 60 and 45 games played season. And at that point, his back was out. But he was still giving it his all. And when he was playing, he was balling. F you mean, bro. Don't be disrespectful. Don't. Because the type of things Larry Bird was playing on and still performing at a high level, not many players in the history of the league could do that. From what I've seen, there's a handful of players that would even have the pain threshold and the will to go out to play on these kinds of injuries. A handful of players in the history of this league. And Jayson Tatum is not one of those guys. As much as Jayson Tatum looks up to Kobe Bryant as his hero and his mentor, and wants to have the Mamba mentality, and putting on a Boston Celtics uniform, home of one-time legend Larry Bird, or home of the legend Larry Bird, home of the one-time player and legend Larry Bird. You got some Larry Bird on your body, and you embrace the Mamba mentality. But I ain't seen a whole lot of either one recently from you, Jayson Tatum. I don't want to hear it. I don't. It's not, for me, it's not even an argument. I understand everybody has their opinions, but there's some things that I just don't think there's a valid argument for. And saying that you would take Jayson Tatum or for the majority of a basketball game over Larry Bird, for me that's just not an argument for me. I can't. That can be your opinion, but I can't see it. I can't see how that's even a good argument or a good stance. I'm sorry. There are levels to this. Levels. I don't give a damn about the numbers, how many points per game he might be averaging. Oh, he's averaging more than Larry did. Oh, he's doing this, doing that. I don't care, and I already told you why. The numbers, I don't weigh them as heavy when I look at it. But you don't, Stephen A., how could you not understand how many ways Larry Bird impacted the basketball game as compared to Jayson Tatum? Why can't you understand that, man? I don't understand. I don't. I can't, man. Like, Bird was a savant, dude. He was a savant. He was a maestro. And his IQ was otherworldly. So and like I said, Tatum does not have all those intangibles that Bird had. He didn't. And leadership. I didn't even talk about leadership. Bird is a far better leader. Far better. Tough as nails. I assure you, if Larry Bird cared about numbers and cared about shooting, he could have ended his career with at least 29, 30 point per game average on a career if he wanted to. If he wanted to. And even with his assist numbers, man, he still played within the confines of the offense. He wasn't monopolizing the ball, just trying to get assists. And even with that being said, on his career, he still averaged over 6 assists and had a season where he almost averaged 8 assists. The dude was a phenomenal passer, one of the greatest passers you'll ever see. In my opinion, no question about it, a top 5 passer of all time. Without me thinking about it, I could absolutely. I could go on forever about this, but you get the point I'm making. This is Stephen A., and like I said, people like this are getting paid. This is their career. They're getting paid to say stuff like this on the airways, and I feel so bad for the people, the fans, the younger generation that I know are just going to listen to this and absorb it and eat it and regurgitate it and say, look at numbers, look at scoring, look at this, look at that. Oh, broke Larry's record. Oh, this is the new hot stuff. Oh, it's like, no. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, it might be hard to believe for you because you only know what you've seen, right? If you've only watched one era of basketball for a select amount of time, you have nothing to compare it to. And you just think that's the best thing you've ever seen. until you see the stuff that came before it, and you might understand some things or try to understand some things differently. But until you do that, you stay in your little bubble. You will continue to stay in your little bubble and think the world of it, and think that everything in that bubble and everything in that world is the absolute truth. Must expand your horizons, young folks. You must. Because it might be hard for you to believe that there isn't a better Celtic than Jayson Tatum. But I can name a lot of Celtics better than Jayson Tatum. Not just Larry Bird. I ain't gonna say a lot, but I can name a handful of players I'd probably take over Tatum right now, a handful. And I'm not even talking like legacy per se, and like, you know, using championships and MVPs in my equation, because if I included all that, and I know Jayson Tatum's still young and he's playing his career, so it's not actually a fair debate from that perspective. But I wasn't even considering that. I'm just saying, player versus player, just as a basketball player, what do you bring to the table? What are your skills? It's not close to me. It's not. Anyway, this video has gone on too long. I got too much into it, and I should probably get to bed. Got a long day at work tomorrow, but y'all let me know what you think about it, man. The type of stuff these guys be saying, man, it's ludicrous. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and y'all don't. I know it's exhausting fighting the good fight, especially for the players of the past that no longer play today, and you know, trying to keep their legacies alive and their names alive and putting respect on their name. It is extremely exhausting dealing with these people and their hot takes and everybody else. But keep fighting the good fight. Keep fighting the good fight. Take care, y'all. We out, baby.